I want to talk about the NBA and my first reaction, and who cares about my first reaction, right?
Okay.
But Kevin Durant's first reaction and all the smack talk that's been surrounding basketball. It's a great conversation to have today because yesterday was a big night. Anyone tune in? I bet you more people watched Aaron Rodgers' new documentary on Netflix than watched the Emirates Cup last night.
Oh, when you were saying champions last night, I thought you meant my men's softball team. Champions, by the way.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Bring it back to Rich.
Even there at the T-Mobile Arena, my brother-in-law went to the game because he was in Vegas for the Raiders Monday Night Football game. He stayed in town, went to the Cup game last night. Lots of empty seats.
See, that's sad. And I'll focus on the positive. The positive is you got to give it to new ideas, right? I'm not mad at the NBA for trying out new things, but we discussed why are ratings down. There's so many reasons why there was no excitement for this Cup last night when there should have been.
I mean, we're the show that embraces new ideas. In fact, who's the idiot that said, "Oh, the golden at bat"? I'm not against it. That was me.
That was you.
I mean, listen, I'm
and
fine.
Michael Kay.
I'm fine with
Rob Manfred. I was okay with it too.
I'm fine with innovation. It's just the NBA has hit this roadblock, and I think if you want to cue up the Beastie Boys, Sabotage, I feel like the NBA is doing a little self-sabotaging, and I'll explain.
Well, they also announced this week in the world of innovating, right, that they're going to do their first ever mini tournament for the All-Star Game. 4 teams competing in 3 games. Teams will race to reach 40 points to win each game, culminating in a championship match. And each team is drafted live on TNT by Charles Barkley, Shaq, and Kenny Smith. So the new All-Star format is going to be this little mini tournament. And look, I'm no NBA guru or insider. I'm just a fan who grew up watching just like you guys. I'm just a guy who likes to shoot the basketball around and tune in to the big games. My first reaction, and I'm open to new ideas. I like the golden at bat. My first reaction was, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Well,
it sounded too convoluted and complex. It's like, why not just a regular game?
Yeah, that's the word. Tedious.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
In America, we like one big game.
I didn't like the sound of this little mini tournament drafted by Shaq and get out of here with that.
well, I think what's going on in the NBA is very clear. Let me explain. When you think of other sports, you watch the NFL, every announcer stroking Mahomes, Josh Allen, generational talent. I've never seen a player like Jamar Chase. Saquon Barkley. He's hopping over people doing, backwards flips, and they sweat the players and they prop up the game.
Well, I always look at it this way. A broadcaster, which we dabble in, Rich, 20 years of this, right?
Yeah.
Is supposed to be honest, but you're supposed to hype stuff up to get people excited about certain things.
It's your
right?
job.
You're giving them reason to tune in, reason to watch. That's how I feel about it. If things suck, they suck. You call it as you see it, but it's also your job to enhance the good things. Otherwise, you as the listener, the viewer, you're like, well, why am I listening? Why am I watching? If you're not making it exciting or you're not enticing me to be involved or get involved, then you're just boring me.
I mean, imagine if we were to do a live event, and we're going to do one in 2025 to celebrate 20 years together.
Yeah.
Big party in Vegas, I think.
Big party at the Spearmint Rhino.
Whoa.
Coming?
I imagine we will hype this up. Imagine if we're like, yeah, it's not going to be that great, but, if you want to go, but it won't be that fun.
Yeah, it's like telling your buddy, hey, man, you want to watch this movie with me? Is it any good? It's all right. If that's your reaction to it, then I don't want to watch the movie. I want to watch a movie with you when you say, dude, wait till you see this movie, man. Wait till you watch it. Oh, man, you're going to love it.
I mean,
if you're downplaying it, then why are you wasting my time?
I have certain buddies that are really good at selling me on a show or a movie. Like, right. Dude, are you watching this new show on Netflix? Are you watching, Apple TV? You got to be watching Silo.
It's all how someone sells it to you.
And we've been accused,
and who's selling it. That matters too, though.
And we've accused our video producer, Spot, of not being the best salesman of shows. Like, Spot,
Damn, he just said you were boring as hell, Spot.
I said sometimes Paul.
Hey guys, I think you should watch Yellowstone.
I mean, it's okay. Like sometimes you just don't do a good job of selling it.
And what you're saying is you think some people are not doing a good job of also selling the NBA.
No comment.
I think that's what Rich
I
is
think
getting
Spot's the NBA. Let me explain.
Okay.
Let me explain. All the other sports. I said NFL. Look at baseball.
You're pickleball.
A-Rod, Jeter, Big Papi, rest in peace, Pete Rose, Frank Thomas. All these guys would talk highly of the game now.
Our guy KB.
Kevin Burkhardt. These guys elevate the sport they talk about.
The sport they're essentially kind of working for.
Everything about the NBA is a self-criticism. Exhibit A. This morning on the Dan Patrick Show, Charles Barkley is talking about how the game stinks.
I watched the Warriors play the Mavericks. It was one of the worst games I've seen. They just went up and down the court and shot threes. And I was like, man, this is awful to watch. If you're just going to have a three-point shooting contest every night, the most important thing of the game is the fans.
Yeah.
And if they're not watching, you can't keep your head in the sand. You got to say, what are we doing wrong? And like I say, it's frustrating for me because all it is now is a three-point shooting contest and a free throw contest. I don't like it.
If Charles Barkley doesn't like it, how are you supposed to like it? Who is the I heard Jason McIntyre talk about this a little bit on The Herd, but I had already been thinking this myself. If every night or a couple days a week you're tuning into the NBA and everyone's fired up, people love to say, what's the best pregame, postgame show? Barkley, Shaq, Kenny. When they're only talking negatively about the sport that you're trying to elevate, Barkley and Shaq just talk about how the game's not as good as when they were there. It's not as tough, and players aren't as physical. They're just shooting up threes.
He is
stinks.
also being honest. I don't want to pat ourselves on the back like Barry Horowitz, but the minute the ratings came out and the story of the ratings dropping 28% came out, we here on this show that day were saying, well, let's figure out why. There's a multitude of reasons as to why, but we're also saying for as much as Steph Curry has done for the game, essentially he sort of ruined the game because you got a bunch of people throwing up three-point shots and they're not Steph Curry. So it's taken away from the game, the physicality of it and the rivalry of it, not to mention maybe too many politics involved in the NBA and people were tired of all that stuff. So we also speculated. So you can't expect Charles Barkley to get out there and lie either, but there's also that sense of he has to take a positive approach if he wants to sell this sport to other people, because when he's talking about it and when they're talking about it and they're talking down about their own sport, it's just magnifying what everyone's seeing already anyway.
Yeah, and it also felt like in the line of questioning to Barkley, he's just basically giving his take on what the hot topic is the past few days. Because Adam Sandler, that's what he has been a joke.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, Kenny G. Can't wait for Happy Gilmore too. Sandman knows his basketball.
Adam Silver, he has kind of been a clown lately. This European-style tournament for the in-season, which is now the NBA Emirates Cup.
Yeah.
We weren't too fond of it last season, but we all said, hey, we'll be open-minded. We'll give it a chance. We'll give it a shot. Then the Lakers won it, and everybody made fun of them because there was a banner. And I was like, okay, well, this is not pointing in the right direction. And now last night, the Bucks didn't really want to pop champagne because they were feeling the same way. Like, hey, this is great, but this is not an NBA title. So we were all, as Americans, we're all kind of confused by that aspect of it because we're into championships at the end of a full season, not these in-season tournaments. And now Silver makes this announcement that the NBA All-Star Game is also going to be a soccer-like tournament.
Danny G, you nailed it, man. We have a different way of thinking here in America.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And you're absolutely right. We just want that one big game. When you start breaking it down into these little tournaments, Americans are tuned out. That's not
I don't
how
think
we
have
absorb.
the patience.
We don't have the patience for it. We don't absorb sports that way.
We have an equation. The equation is you play halfway through the sport. There's like the best players play All-Star Game. And then at the end, we get a champion.
Yes.
We
Simple.
We consume and compute sports
It's
in that
simple.
fashion.
We want that with some burgers and beer. Simple. right?
We're dummies, essentially.
Yeah, but
Don't complicate
the
it.
old way went perfect with our beer helmets and face paint. You start adding all this other stuff, it starts getting confusing. We're not into it. And I'll be honest, I saw Kevin Durant's reaction to it. And again, it's the same line of thinking, Rich. When Kevin Durant reacted to the new All-Star proposal, his reaction was my reaction, but I thought the same thing you thought, meaning, well, that's not what you want the faces of your league to be saying about your new ideas.
So if Barkley, Shaq, and the main faces of the broadcast are talking smack about the
and
sport,
faces of the sport.
and one of the faces of the actual league, Kevin Durant, is saying this,
I hate it. Absolutely hate it. I hate it. Terrible. All-Star game, formats changing, all the formats, terrible in my opinion. We should just go back to East-West, just play a game. I think we've been trying to, bring that flair back somehow with the All-Star weekend, but I think we just keep it traditional. But we'll see how this one works. You never know. I might be wrong. I'm just another guy with an opinion.
and listen,
that's the opposite of getting me tuned in. Right? I only want to go watch a movie when you tell me how good that movie is. You're telling me you hate it. Guess what? You're making me hate it. I don't care about the All-Star game. I didn't care about the Cup last night. NBA's bad. They're throwing up threes. Ratings are down. You're not selling the sport. I don't know how it's been getting such bad PR, but now it's become the narrative of the NBA, and they need to do something really major that's not European-style tournaments to fix the problem.
listen, you could admit it or lie to yourself. We are all influenced. I'm not saying we're all influenced by influencers on social media, but you could try to ignore it. But friends, family, coworkers, they do influence you. Example, I'm figuring out what holiday movie to watch with the wife when the kids go to sleep. And I had heard so many people say Red One with The Rock, which is now on Amazon. It was in the theater. One too many people like, yeah, I don't know, dude. It sort of stinks. I started watching it, and in my head was like, yeah, this does stink.
It does stink. You're just noticing all the stink.
You're jaded going into it.
Like, this stinks. It stinks. This stunks. I hate it.
So all we're saying is the NBA is not doing themselves any favors by adding to the narrative of the stink.
From the most prominent people in the sport, from the Shaqs, from the Barkleys, from the Kevin Durants, as you heard there. And if this dude doesn't like the format, he does go on to say, hey, look, that's my first reaction to it. Maybe I'm wrong. He goes, maybe
I'm just the guy with an opinion.
I'm just, I'm just the guy with an opinion. Maybe it's something that's going to work. I'm just telling you what I think.
But that's exactly what you guys said when the in-season tournament came out last season.
Yeah, and it was
fun. You guys
fun.
said, okay, open-minded to it, but maybe this is going to stink.
It was fun maybe because the Lakers were involved. We're here in L.A., right? But there was no buzz this year, and I really think that narrative of the ratings are down, the NBA's boring, I think that narrative has really gotten all of our psyches, all of our brains, and that's what we're seeing now. Like, yeah, this sucks. Like the awareness is out there now. The glass was broken.
If there's a girl,
and we're like, yeah, the NBA stinks.
I'll make a dumb analogy. If there's a girl and she's hot, but she's got a little bit of a big nose, and some guy points out, like, yeah, she's hot, but look at her nose. And then someone else goes, yeah, she does. She is hot, but I don't know.
Now she's the girl with the big nose.
And now eventually it's like,
she went from the girl with the hot bod to the girl with the big nose.
And the NBA has become the girl with the big nose.
Yeah.
So many people have pointed out, NBA went from the hot chick to like, she's hot, but she's got a big nose. Now everyone's like, she's got a big nose.
It's a narrative they need to squash. But I don't know how to. Look, I don't get paid the big bucks to fix it.
You know who doesn't care about big noses? The rest of the world. Ephraim Salaam was on the network yesterday evening as a guest on The Odd Couple. He made a great point. He said, you look at the past, I think it's 5 or 6 NBA MVPs in the MVP race last season, European players.
Yep.
The league has softened European style.
That's part of the problem, though. For as great as they are, Danny G, we don't care about them, their names, and they don't want to be the face of the league.
Right, and the NBA marketing has gone worldwide and has focused on other countries, not ours, because let's be honest, they can't compete with the NFL. No professional sport really can. So
yeah, but the NBA was doing a great job of marketing their stars and the storylines for such a long time. All of these things happened, and it left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. Colin Cowherd made a great point, too, over the past few days. He said something about how ratings dropped like 50% once Jordan retired, right? And we're seeing a drop-off now that LeBron's on the tail end of things. And the stars that they're marketing aren't stars that necessarily want to be marketed and stars that we gravitate toward like a Giannis or a Jokic or anybody like that. They don't want to be the face of the NBA. They're really not great faces and ambassadors for the NBA.
Well, this has been going on now since 2012 because the TV ratings since 2012 are down 48%.
That's ridiculous. And I'll tell you what, to make this one full conversation, the new rules for the NBA All-Star Game, this little mini tournament, is not it. It's not it. We don't like it. Kevin Durant doesn't like it. I don't like it. And, again, the faces of the league, when they're talking down about it, does nothing to help.
Hey, bud.
They really need to have I'm not saying they need to lie, right?
Lie to
but
me,
they
Jerry.
need to lift their sport.
Yeah, I mean, all right. It's when you work for a company, it doesn't even need to be a sports league. You are an ambassador to that company. You are essentially speaking on behalf of them many times publicly. Your job is to elevate, not, put down
Exactly.
the company you work for. That's part of good business. Like Derek Jeter. Do I really believe he drives, what was it, the Edge? What was that car he drove?
Jeter's got the edge. Yeah, Ford Edge.
Do you think I really think Jeter drives a Ford Edge in his prime? Get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even drive a Ford Edge if they give it to me for free.
I would. Hey, if anyone from Ford's listening, I absolutely
Covino
would.
would. He's a sellout.
Yeah.
I'm not driving a Ford Edge, but Derek Jeter made you think,
Jeter's got the edge.
I got the Edge, Ford Edge. Do I really think Shaq drives in that little car and has general insurance? No, it's a sale. It's like selling a call on sports. You got
to sell this, man. That's why the NBA's paying you guys the big bucks.
He does eat like 10 Papa John pizzas at a time.
Probably does.
I believe that.
And I get it. You might not like how the game's being played right now. You have to find a way to still be positive or focus on the positives without putting down the sport. Because that's all we're seeing.
You know what? As much as we criticize the NFL at times, because people just love to criticize everything. The NFL, every time there's a rule change or a head injury or something that you could very much construe as negative, they don't harp on it. They try to move along quickly. And sometimes the criticism is that a player could do something bad and they move along too quickly because the NFL's like, bro, unicorns, rainbows, sunshine. NFL! They're not. Do you think any announcers and analysts would spend an extended period of time talking negatively about the National Football League?
No.
Meanwhile, Shaq and
Plus, the
Barkley,
NFL would put a kibosh to it.
Shaq and Barkley, who I love watching because they are entertaining, they're a couple old heads that are fun as hell, but all they're doing really is subconsciously telling you that it stinks now compared to when they were playing.
Right. Watch this movie. It stinks. No thanks.
Nope.
Hey, want to taste a steak? It sucks. No, I'm good. You're not selling me on it, so no thanks. I don't want it. And that's what we're getting.
Someone goes, oh, smell this.
Yeah. Hey, this song stinks. You want to hear it? Nope. That's really what we're getting from the NBA.